everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Sad Dad Games podcast. This is an episode of Eric's Indie Corner where I get to talk about indie games and you have to listen. You have to. You have no choice. I guess you could leave, but yeah, please don't. Yes, I have to coerce Shan and Tucker to be here. Oh, by the way, I'm Eric.
I'm Shan, and I've been roofied, so that's why I'm here.
Yeah. I'm Tucker, and Shan took a good roofie joke, so
I'm Tucker, and I also got roofied. Yeah.
And I like to party.
I know for a fact you don't like to party. Yeah.
Bam! Hot rod quote. We've been here forever since we had a good hot rod quote.
I was say, we were talking about that when we were recording a couple weeks ago about how we haven't had a hot rod quote in a while. And I was trying to think, and it just there it is. I know for a fact you don't like to party. But
no, you're Kevin.
You're Kevin. What a stupid movie. I love that movie. It's just good, stupid fun. It's like the McDonald's of movies where I know it's not good, but I kind of love it anyways. Like,
no, I think it's objectively very good.
Yeah, it's at least a McDonald's breakfast.
Yeah, that's fair. They use real eggs, so it's not that. It can't be that bad. That's the quote. You heard it here. Hot Rod the movie uses real eggs in its breakfast. But so today we're going to be talking about a game called Wargroove. It is a tactical turn-based strategy game developed by Chucklefish and released on February 1st of 2019. And so
the only good thing about that sentence is Chucklefish.
Chucklefish. So here's a little funny anecdote. As I get ready for these indie episodes, sometimes it's games that we've all played before, but if it's a game that only I have played and that the other people on the episode haven't played, I'll send a trailer like in our text chat to be like, this is just to get a vibe of like, this is what it looks like, so that I'm not just talking at a wall. They have a general idea. And right before we started recording, Shan was like, hang on just a sec, let me watch the recording, and he started watching it, and he goes, like, had like an audible like, oh, okay, I guess this is fine. And then like 10 seconds later, Tucker was like, I'm gonna be honest, this doesn't look like a game that I would enjoy. So this episode like might just myself. Be for me. Yeah.
Well, my initial thought at the artwork was like, is this the generic slop that we'd see in between the game trailers that we want to see at a like game convention?
Oh, that bums me out. I think the art is beautiful in this game. You guys are being rude to Wargroove.
No, then I watched the gameplay trailer and I was like, oh, okay, actually this is very beautiful animation.
It is very beautiful.
But when I was looking at the generic like cover art, I was like, okay, this like JRPG nonsense.
Oh,
that's what I thought too.
That's what Tucker asked me. He's like, Eric, is there a JRPG on your list? Because I famously am not a huge fan of JRPGs. And so I was like, nope, it's not. It is a tactical turn-based strategy, which is a genre of game that I actually do quite like. I think that sometimes regular turn-based battles, your old school Final Fantasy, where it's like you take a turn, they take a turn, you take a turn, they take a turn. I don't always find that super engaging unless you introduce another wrinkle or if there's other like styles of gameplay that are woven into that experience. For example, I really like Paper Mario games because they have you kind of actively involved in the turn-based things and the turn-based combat. And so I think that just having a sterile like back and forth turn-based battle can be kind of boring for me, but I've always really enjoyed tactical turn-based strategy games from the time when I first played a Fire Emblem game, like I think the first one I played was on my 3DS. I really like being able to move your units around on a map. So we'll talk about that story, gameplay, and visuals and sound. We'll get to gameplay in a little bit here, but we'll quickly go over the story before we start talking about why I like tactical turn-based games a little better. So the story is you primarily play as Mercia. She's the queen of Cherrystone, and her kingdom has been attacked by the Felheim army, and you have to go across the lands and the map to recruit friends and allies so that you can, fight the big bad and save your kingdom and all of that stuff. It's sort of standard like fantasy warfare kind of a story. But what makes it engaging is the characters. So the actual overarching story is not super complex, but there's a lot of fun, colorful characters and a lot of fun little interactions before, after, and during battles. Most story missions will start with a nice little cutscene and end with a cutscene. And then there's little dialogue kind of interspersed through each map as you're playing through if certain things happen. So the characters are all a lot of fun. You meet a lot of interesting, colorful characters as you kind of move across the whole continent doing battles and fighting off armies and things like that. And one thing that I like about tactical turn-based games, particularly in this sense, is it all feels very grand and big. So it's not like the skirmishes aren't little. It's like this is like a wartime battle. There's like big ships and lots of enemy troops, and it feels very grand. And so the scope of the story feels very grand, even though the bullet points of the story are not like huge and grandiose and stuff. But propped up by the gameplay, it feels very nice. Also, the side missions are a lot of fun. The characters that you encounter as you go throughout the story, there's like little side maps that you can participate in, and one of the generals that you can play as is a puppy dog. He's an adorable little puppy dog named Caesar, and he like commands a whole army, and he's super cute. But like one of the side stories that you go on kind of runs concurrently throughout the entire campaign. Each chapter, one of the side missions, you'll always be Caesar, and you like fight off bandits. And so there's a lot of fun, like little side stories woven into the main campaign as you go along. And it's just a good time. So I know that Tucker and Shan might not be huge on tactical turn-based games, but I know, Shan, you've played the Mario Rabbids games, right?
I've played the first one, and I had a fantastic time. I was immediately captivated by Grant Kirkhope's soundtrack. That's why I wanted to be there. And because it's like the most uncanny parallels to the Banjo-Kazooie music that I've experienced since Banjo-Kazooie. And I it's the first time I've ever enjoyed tactical turn-based games. My first exposure to the genre was I had an Xbox and I was looking for a new game, and I walk into I think it was a Toys R Us at the time, right before they tried to close down. And
well, they didn't try. They did.
They tried to close down, but we wouldn't.
No, they're still open. No,
Are
it's
they?
still it's still around.
Oh, really?
And they're trying to open up again in Macy's right now.
Oh, weird. I thought for sure they went out of business.
And there's a couple around. I went to one in
Tucker's
Portugal.
Googling it.
Yeah.
So there's a few that are open internationally.
Oh, weird. I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. Whoa, there's so many.
You guys sound like complete effing idiots right now.
I'm a moron.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're coming back.
Wait a minute. There's 3 in Utah? That doesn't sound right.
Yeah, I've been to one. It's at Macy's.
Oh my gosh, they're in Macy's. That's crazy.
But they're really stupid and they're really small scale. I went to one. They have really stupid toys.
This episode is brought to you by Toys R Us.
Yeah.
They're using their last dime to.
It's not magical like it used to be.
No, Toys R Us was. So actually, quick tangent about Toys R Us. You can't see it on the camera, but my very first action figure that I got for my collection, because I have a huge collection of action figures you can see behind me, was a symbiote black suit Spider-Man. And we were on a road trip, we were driving across the country when I moved from Illinois to Arizona, and we stopped at Toys R Us, and my mom each gave us $10 and was like, go buy something to enter, like give you something to do while you're in the car. Cause we were in the car for like 4 days. And I went over and I bought that Spider-Man action figure, and it awoken something in me. And I haven't been able to stop buying action figures since. And that was when I was 9 years old.
Is this the same action figure that you shared
it was
on
at
our
a Toys R
intro
Us
episode?
Yes, it's the same action figure that I.
Okay, yeah.
But and the reason I said that is because we went into a Toys R Us and she just was like, come back here in 10 minutes, and that's what I picked out at the Toys R Us. So I have fond memories of Toys R Us. They are responsible for all of the action figures you see behind you, because it's the one that started it all. Yeah.
Well, anyway, it was like one of the last times I went to a real Toys R Us, and I walk in, and are you familiar with the saying "buying a pig in a poke"? It's an old idiom.
Sounds gross. Yeah.
Buying something without knowing, without researching or looking into what it is. So I look at the cover
99% of the time.
Yeah. So I look at the cover.
Things fine. Purchased. Yeah.
I look at the cover of XCOM 2, and I'm like, yeah, okay, that an alien game. That I'm sure that I would enjoy this. Pop it in the Xbox. I get 30. Maybe 20 or so minutes into the game, and I'm like, what the hell is this genre? What? I had never experienced turn. It's got what the
Tim Robinson thing.
Yeah. I had never experienced turn-based tactical games, and I was so annoyed. I was like, I was expecting a shooter. This is lame. This is not fun to me. I took it out and I never played it again.
I can think of few things more frustrating of like expecting an action-packed experience and then receiving a tactical turn-based game, because I really enjoy a lot of tactical turn-based games, but if I was expecting a shooter or like something more action-packed, that would be frustrating. That's why you don't buy a pig in a poke.
Aliens. Yeah, exactly. That's why.
Well, there are aliens. That's like XCOM's whole thing.
Well, I don't remember seeing them.
Well,
I just remember being mad.
You played 20 minutes. It's like you watch the first 20 minutes of the movie Alien and you're like, where are the aliens? It's like, I don't know, man. Maybe you can finish the movie.
This movie should be called Humans.
Yeah, or it's just spaceship. They should call it Humans. Humans the movie. That's the dumbest argument I think I've ever heard you make, Shan. There were no aliens in the first 30 seconds, and so I turned it off. Yeah, XCOM is also, it's like really mechanically dense, and so it's very but anyways, Wargroove is a very it has a lot of mechanical complexity, but it is very approachable if you want it to be. So basically a tactical turn-based strategy is you're on a grid, like there's a big map that's a grid, and you can move your enemy units around. You have a bunch of your own units, you move them around, you can attack, you can do whatever, and then your enemy does the same. So you guys are taking turns, but you move your units around the battlefield, which is the extra level of engaging that I like, because you can position strategically, you can lure enemies out of like safe zones and things like that. And one of the reasons I like Wargroove so much is it's very much akin to like the Advance Wars games, where it is a little more granular. So in Fire Emblem, you've got like your hero characters, you move your heroes around the map and they fight each other, and it feels like kind of lots of one-on-one battles. But Wargroove and Advance Wars, it's like a war zone. So you have enemy units, and like, this thing, represents 5 of your characters, and so they move around, and it's
like
it's
Risk.
Much more. Yeah, it is kind of like Risk. It's a grander scale, and so it's like one little character will represent 5 characters, but you move them around. But you can also capture like enemy barracks and enemy towns, and if you capture a town, it adds to the amount of money that you like occur every turn, and then in turn you can use that money to recruit more units as you like go throughout the battle, and so you can you're not just stuck with like the units that you brought into battle. You're making money every turn based on how many bases you've captured, and you can use that money to recruit more units. And so you can if you capture a lot of bases quickly, sometimes it's really effective to just like do a blitz, and you just like you run out as fast as you can to use all your units to capture as many bases as you can quickly, even if those units die, because that increases your turn over turn income so that you can recruit more powerful units more quickly and just kind of clear out the battlefield of the end. So there's lots of like fun little strategies like that, where it's not just like move your character and attack the guy, move your other character into a good position to attack the guy next turn. There's a deeper strategy to it, which can be really satisfying if you're into that kind of thing. And I am into that kind of thing. It's super fun. So gameplay is very cool. There's also a lot of really cool difficulty sliders. So there's lots of difficulty modes. There's like really hard, which is the normal like setting. There's normal, and then easy, and then story. But then there's also a custom difficulty thing where you can slide up and down different aspects about the battle. So it's like if you are taking too much damage, you can slide down the thing. Like, I want to receive 80% of the damage that I normally would, and you can slide it all the way down to like 20%, I think, is as low as it goes. So if you're really struggling, or if you are like you're not as interested in like having a really complex strategy, you just kind of want to play the game, you can slide those sliders all around, and you can increase the amount of money that you make every turn. And so there's a lot of good accessibility options for that, as well as things that like speed up how quickly the units move around the battlefield, and you can turn on and off the battle animations, so that if you want to kind of just play it as like a big complex game of chess rather than watching all of the little battles unfold, you can do that too. So lots of really cool options for how you want to play the game. They give you a lot of freedom in that area, which I thought was really cool. There's also roughly a zillion different game modes. Hang on, I wrote them all down because there's so many. There are, so you can play the story mode. There's a single player story mode, and then a few months later they added a DLC, like a co-op story campaign. So you can play the whole campaign. Then there's a co-op campaign that you can play either by yourself or with a friend. There's multiplayer, both local and online. The multiplayer is really cool because it's asymmetrical, which means that like you can go online, pick it like a player, like have a friend or whatever, and do a battle with a friend, and then you move your units, and then it will just stay active and wait. You can turn off your switch. You can come back to the game like 2 days later, and then if they've made their move, and so you can kind of go back and forth. It's almost like you don't have to both be online at the same time.
That's called asynchronous, not asymmetrical.
Yes, not asymmetrical. You're right. Asynchronous multiplayer. That was thanks for correcting the word I used, Shan. But yeah, so it's got asynchronous multiplayer, which is very cool. So there's that. There's also an arcade mode, which is not something that I expected to see. If you guys have ever played like Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter, you know how you like select a character and then you do like 4 or 5 fights and then a final boss fight, and that's the arcade mode. But there's an arcade mode for this as well, where you like pick, there are different generals for each army that I have like slightly different abilities that they can use in battle, and they each have their own arcade mode. So you like, instead of like a Street Fighter style battle, it'll be like a small map and you have to play that map, and then you have a little story cutscene, and then it goes on to the next one. And each of the generals have their own arcade mode, which is, I think there's like 10-ish generals. I might be wrong on that, but very cool. Not an expected mode, but really adds to the extra playtime if you want to do that. There's also...
So is it kind of like a Super Smash Bros? I think, I don't know if the newer ones do it. Like Melee definitely did it have, where you have like each character has like their little story mode.
Yeah, it is kind of like that, where there's like a series of battles that you work through, but instead of like a fighting game battle, you do like a little, you just play kind of a smaller map. So I thought it was a unique idea. I haven't seen that in a tactical turn-based game before, so I thought that was kind of cool. Little arcade modes. There's also puzzle maps. The puzzle maps are very, very interesting. Basically what it is you have like, it gives you a preset amount of like type of units, and they're all placed in exactly like specific places. And then the enemies are the same way. And then it's like a puzzle where it's like, okay, you have to wipe out every enemy unit, or like the boss enemy unit, or whatever the objective of that map is, but you can only have one turn to do it. And so it's like, it's like a very specific way to do it. It's like, oh, I have to move this person here and attack this guy so that he kills that one, and that will clear the path so that this guy can walk over there and get this guy. And so it's like you have to find the right order of things and which units to move where to like be able to accomplish the goal that they've set for you in just one turn. And so that's another really interesting mode, is to do the puzzle modes. I thought those were super fun. And then this is one of the big ones. They have custom content. The custom content in this game is absolutely obscenely bonkers. I have never seen a more versatile, more feature-rich custom content creator in any video game ever. It's insane. So let me just kind of lay it out for you. You can create your own maps. You can create your and then you can link those maps together in a campaign so that you can play through them in order in a campaign. But on top of that, you can each of the maps can have their own special flags and like dialogue boxes that you can type out that pop up when you certain things are achieved. It's like, oh, if they get halfway through the battle, or when they eliminate this unit, someone comes up and says this, and then this other thing happens, and 5 other units will fly into the battle. So it's like you can completely script and customize things that happen over the course of this map exactly the way you would as if you were making a game. Also, there is a cutscene creator and editor where you can create your own dialogue and cutscenes and animations that play at the beginning or in the middle or after a gameplay map. So basically, they give you all of the tools that you need to create your own game if you really wanted to. And it's one that I messed around with quite a bit. I'm a big fan of custom content. I think it's always fun to get in there and mess around with stuff and see what I can make. But the devs actually said that the tools that they used to create the story campaign are the same tools that are included in the custom. So you could, everything that they did to make the story campaign, you could recreate all of that with the tools that they give you in the custom content. It's very versatile.
That's
and
what I was guessing, is that they created this so that they could easily create and fix the game themselves.
Yeah, which is probably what it was for, so they could quickly like design and workshop their game. But it's very cool. So if you stick around till the end of the episode, I made a short animation, like a short cutscene specific for that to be tacked on at the end of this episode. So we'll put that on the end there. So stick around to the end to watch a little video that I made. But it's very cool, very versatile, really interesting add-on to a game that I was just completely not expecting. So visuals and sound for this game are also really nice. The art style is bright and colorful. Animation is really, really good. They do these little things where when two units will like clash in battle, it'll open a little vignette and then you can watch them like duke it out with each other, and you can see how many units of yours die and how many units of theirs die. And the animations are all very smooth, really, really nice pixel art, as well as like the intro and outro cutscenes for each mission have a lot of really fun, smooth, colorful animations and stuff. So really happy with the visual presentation of this game. I think it looks just really top-notch pixel art. Very, very nice. And then the music is also very great, composed by Pete Lepley. It does a good job of being epic, but also when you're just kind of playing a map, it's a lot of like thinking and sort of moving your pieces around. And so you want to be able to like have music that kind of gets your brain churning. And so it does a good job of getting you to think. And, I think that the music is very suits each situation that it's in very, very well. It feels epic when it needs to, but it's kind of calm and in the background when you need to think about where you're moving your units and stuff like that. So lots of fun, very good stuff. Any final thoughts on the tactical turn-based genre? I know that Tucker wasn't super enthused when we started this episode. He was like, this is not my jam.
I hate to say that I'm kind of still in the same boat. Outside of the general puppy that you can be, that's kind of the only selling point for me on this game. But that's not to say that other people wouldn't enjoy it. I'm just not a tactical turn-based kind of guy.
Yeah, and this is a genre that's like, it's not really for everybody. And even there are some times where like, I put down Wargroove for a long time. Like I got about a little more than halfway through it, and then I got distracted by other things in my life. And then I just recently came back to it a few months ago and finished it finally. Because it can be like, the battles are pretty challenging and they can be really long. Like there are some battles that will go up to an hour-ish or more. And so it's like, I think what made me stop playing is there was one battle that I didn't want to turn the difficulty level down on because I wanted to get the star rankings that you can get from the higher difficulties. And I got like 45 minutes into the battle and then I lost and I had to start all the way over, and that was devastating. And then I tried again and the same thing happened again, where it's like it was just too, like losing that progress was just a little too much. So I put it down for a long time. I finally came back to it and finished it, and I had a great time with it. But yeah, very, very fun stuff. All right, well, playtime for Wargroove, you get about 20 hours-ish out of the story, but you could easily balloon that to 40, 50, 60 if you engage with the other modes. There's lots and lots of content in this game. It's available for Windows, Switch, PS4, Xbox One, and is $19.99. So not a bad deal for the amount of game that you get. If you're a fan of tactical turn-based strategy games, you get a lot of bang for your buck here. All right. All right, everybody, I think that's going to do it for us today. Thank you for listening to another episode of Eric's Indie Corner. Please like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. We will catch you next time. Bye.
Catch you on the flippity flip.
On the flippity flip.
Goodbye.